KMSU.
Is this Dustin?
This is Dustin.
Yeah, this is Bob Backlund, sir.
Mr. Backlund, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How's everything?
Everything is great. I'll introduce you to my co-host, Ton.
Ton?
Yeah, it's Ton, like 2,000 pounds. How you doing?
I'm doing well, yeah.
This is great. It's a great pleasure to have you on the line. We're real excited. If you're ready to go, we'll just start asking questions here.
If you're going to, people can get the book by going on BacklundEnergy.com.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the book. What made you decide to write a book after all these years? Was it just now was the right time, or?
We worked on a book in the '80s, but nobody would publish it. And then I kept trying to get it going, and I thought we never could get it going. So I got a letter from somebody in '09 I was his childhood hero, and he wanted to write a book about me. And I thought I was going to die before I got a book written. And a miracle happened, and we got it done.
Yeah, that is. It seems like maybe that was ahead of its time back then. Nowadays, all the old wrestlers are writing their books. It seems.
That would have been the first wrestling book ever.
Yeah.
Published. We had some long talks with them, but we couldn't talk them into going through with it. But everything works out for the best in the end. I'm really happy with the way the book is. It's a lot different now than it would have been, at that time. So I'm glad we are getting it done now rather than in the '80s and '90s.
Do you mind if we ask you some questions about wrestling, kind of further back there?
No, you can ask me whatever you want, and I'll yeah. And have you guys saw the book or read any reviews or anything?
Seen a couple of reviews. I'm hoping to get a copy of it here soon, but I haven't gotten one yet.
Well, I guess maybe I didn't do that, but I usually have the publishing company mail out a book to the people when I do interviews like this.
I did. I tried to contact them, but I never heard back from them.
Okay. Yeah, I have a go-to person. His name is Jake. He's been pretty good.
Okay.
And I'd love to come out there sometime and do a signing.
Yeah, we'll see if
but
we
I don't
can.
know if I'm going to get out there or not. I'm going to be in Iowa this next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah, and Iowa's pretty close since we're right in Minnesota here. So speaking of that, talk to us about some of your memories working for Vern Gagne in the AWA.
I didn't wrestle very much for him. I wrestled with Vern Gagne in his organization when I was back there to visit my parents.
So it was just kind of here and there. You came back and did a couple shows.
I was down in Florida, and I'd come home and I'd go to see my parents, and then I'd just call Vern and say, "Do you want me to come down and do some business with you, or you want to use me in some towns while I'm here?" That would be fine with me, and he always did that. It was about 3 or 4 times where I went back before I went to the WWE.
Sure. It seems like so many of the great wrestlers all came, from Minnesota, and obviously AWA was more of kind of a wrestler kind of organization. Yeah,
well, Vern Gagne was a great amateur wrestler. He was I think he was an alternate in the Olympics, and he was top notch. He was as good as they get, and amateur wrestlers sort of make good wrestlers because they know how to handle their body, and they know what to do, and they're getting a takedown, and they can make it look a little better because they've done it so many times. So I think amateur wrestling is it's a great sport, and it does make you're probably a better professional wrestler if you have some amateur background.
Well, and I know you mentioned eventually you went to the WWE, but I know you had a lot of feuds in the NWA before that with the Funks and Harley Race. Do you know, was there ever talks of maybe putting the heavyweight title on you at that time?
Well, that's a long story, and it's a good part of the book, but they didn't think I could be a bad guy, so they didn't really consider me as much as they would have. They didn't think I could ever be bad, because in the NWA you had to be a guy that you were going to go through territories and you were going to have to work with their local hero.
Sure.
So you had to be somewhat a bad guy once in a while, and then but they didn't think the people that were voting didn't think I could ever do that. I was the All-American boy.
Sure. Yeah.
They didn't think that I would be able to pull it off.
Obviously, things did work out for you. You mentioned going to the WWF and feuding with superstar Billy Graham. Eventually, you got the title, and he wasn't real happy with it. But I mean, you had the title for almost 6 years or so there. So obviously, it worked. Even if it wasn't as a heel, it obviously was for the best.
Well, out in the WWF, the champion was always a good guy. And the champion would stay there, and the heels would come in. The bad guys would come in and wrestle with the champion, who was going to be always the good guy, and that was their format they always used. And Billy Graham was told that when he got it, that he was going to be interim champion, and then I was going to take it from him way ahead of time. So, but he kind of thought he was doing pretty good in the houses, but he kind of thought that Vince would change his mind, but Vince gave his word, and he's not the kind of guy that's going to change his word. He told me that when I was going to get it, and he kept his word. He didn't budge, and he was committed, and that's why I enjoyed working with him or working under him so much. He would come and ask you and get your opinion, and I had a great time, and he was like a dad to me.
Well, one thing we think is interesting, you worked a lot of matches with a lot of champions from other promotions, like Nick Bockwinkel and Harley Race. I mean, that's something that doesn't seem like it would happen nowadays. People probably worried about, somebody kind of going into business for themselves maybe, or...
Well, nowadays there's not anybody out there that's going to, that would, the NWA was pretty big, the WWF was pretty good, and the AWA, they were all on the WWF was a bigger, but they were all pretty close level, and so it was very competitive amongst the champions. So it made a lot of sense to go out and wrestle in a unification match every once in a while. But I loved wrestling with Harley Race, and I remember wrestling Nick Bockwinkel up in Canada, and he was I grew up sort of watching him. My mom was a big fan, and it was just an honor to be able to get in the ring with him and go through the action in the ring.
Yeah, can you talk to us a little bit about how did those relationships happen? I mean, did another promotion just give a call and ask if you could show up, or did you put forth the effort, or how?
That was all done by. I didn't get into any politics in the business at all. That was Vince McMahon. I'm sure that the people in St. Louis called Vince about me wrestling Jack Briscoe or Harley Race, whoever it would be, and to have both champions. I think it was down in Eddie Graham was the promoter in Florida Championship Wrestling, and he was, they were pretty close, the people that ran their territories, and they were very into helping each other out as far as talent goes. They'd trade off, somebody would be good for a certain amount of time, and then they'd want to go some other place, so they always had a place to go when they their time ended in a certain territory. They'd go to Georgia Championship Wrestling. There was 3 different organizations in Texas, and then the AWA, and there was a lot of different promoters, so they would never get wore out.
Did anyone ever try to take the belt off you, or were you ever worried that someone might?
I never really worried about that too much. Harley Race says something in the book, and I didn't. I'm not supposed to. I'm just me. But he said there's a lot of people that tried to take him on, but nobody ever did it twice. So, there's some people that get a little, thinking that they can, test you, and I was tested. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a different time back then than it is now, for sure.
Yeah, but most of them, I was training real hard, and if they tried, they wouldn't last too long.
Well, we want to ask, you mentioned, when you took the belt from Billy Graham, that decision was kind of made, so it was set in stone. And, obviously you dropped the title to Iron Sheik so it could go to Hogan. Looking back, are you okay kind of with how that went down? I know at the time you kind of saw Hogan as maybe not as legit as maybe some of the other guys. But
no, not that so much. It was the way it happened. every promoter that I had in the wrestling business came to me and explained to me what they wanted to do and got my opinion, and I always agreed with them. And when Vince Sr. passed away, it was like sneaky things going on, and like Vince, soon Gene Sr. would come to me and say, "Here's what we're going to do. What do you think?" And then we talked about it, and so I always knew what was going on. And then when he passed away, that stopped, and I'm not sure why. But it didn't. It did. The communication wasn't there, and it bothered me. And I thought there was something going on, because everybody was so upfront with me before that time period.
Well, is that what kind of led to your decision to leave wrestling for a while? Then after that?
No, that wasn't. That was. I didn't have anything to do with that. If they don't schedule you, you can't go.
Sure. Well, when you did come back, you mentioned things kind of changing after Vince Sr. passed away. Was it kind of, I guess, jarring to see how much things had changed when you came back in the early 90s?
Yeah, it changed. Even our society changed a lot. I came back in the 90s to be Bob Backlund, the All-American boy, and it didn't work. And I asked to be. I refused to be bad in the 80s, but I asked to be bad in the 90s because the good guys were lying, cheating, and swearing. And I said, "Let me be good by being bad, or let me be bad by being good." And that's what happened. I turned and it was very surprised. It shocked everybody because nobody ever thought I could be a bad guy, but I became one of the most hated guys in the business in that time period.
Yeah, definitely.
Which was very interesting. It was kind of a good thing to me because I was very shy. I probably wouldn't be doing this promo if I wouldn't have been Mr. Backlund for those years.
Yeah, that was such a great character. I mean, you mentioned they didn't think you could pull it off, but I really think that was probably one of the shining moments of that time period. I mean, when business was kind of down, but I think the Mr. Backlund character was really one of the best things out there. Yeah,
it was. I was into everything I was saying. I was telling people that I'm going to try to make them responsible for their own actions, and it's going to make them work hard and be dedicated. And I had a policy where the people, if they wanted my signature, they had to recite the presidents of the United States to me to procure it. And I was doing, I did that so kids would maybe, study a little bit and learn something from it. And I thought everything, and I believed everything so much because I thought it was just helping society. So that's why it was so intense, because I believed every word I said.
I think personally, you did a promo where you talked about branding a ring on kids' foreheads if they did wrong. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's that was I forgot about that. I haven't thought about that for a long time. You shocked me. I didn't think you'd. Yeah. There was a lot of little things, but and when I walked down the street, other than in my hometown, if it wasn't Mr. Backlund, I didn't even respond.
Wow.
I believe in respect for people. I believe that we should respect our elders, and I just think that that's kind of a lost thing where, yes, sir, please, sir, yeah.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned people didn't really see it coming, you changing into that character. I got to imagine you probably didn't know they were thinking of putting the belt back on you when you came back either.
No, but I in the 80s, I promised that I would go back and get it back, and I didn't know that was going to happen, but I went back to keep my promise.
Oh, okay.
I did a promo, and I said, I'm going to go back and get it again, and that was in the 80s, and probably 83. So, my intention was to do that, and I didn't, the length of time, that didn't make any difference, but that was my goal, yeah. And I knew I didn't think the All-American Boy thing would work anymore, and I don't think the people would ever got so they really supported it. But whether you're really loved or really hated, that's what you want in the business.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that character was, you mentioned it was very intense. It was also very funny, I thought. And you mentioned kind of being shy and having to kind of pull that out of you. But was that something that you knew you could do, kind of more of a comedic kind of act, or was it just kind of the right opportunity for it?
I did a lot of reading for things, and at that time, I knew my promos probably what I was going to do probably 2 weeks ahead of time. I read a lot of books and things, and just tried to pull things out of the books about moral values and things like that. And I enjoyed that. It was kind of fun, and it was really fun because I was doing my job, getting people to hate me.
And a good job you did.
I had some death threats on the phone.
Oh wow!
In that time period. Yeah.
Man. So you recently went into the WWE Hall of Fame. How did that feel?
In 2013.
How did that feel to get recognized for all the work you had done to add to the success of the company?
Well, I refused for a lot of years because of something that happened in the 80s, and they fixed it, and then I went into the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't go in because of something that happened, and I was very happy that Bruno Sammartino went in the same time.
Yeah, that was long overdue too, for sure.
Yeah, he's the greatest champion ever, and I was very happy to be there with him.
Well, we know you are still in tremendous shape. Do you see yourself getting back in the ring at any time soon, or?
Well, in 2013, I said to Triple H, I'd love to go back and put a little W back in the business, but he hasn't done anything about that yet. But I don't know. I feel very comfortable about it. I don't have any injuries, and I work out every day, and I would love a chance. But they got people that they're trying to sort of get over with the people, and I'm not one of those. So that but I would do that anytime.
Well, if you were to come back, is there somebody in the business nowadays that you'd like to work with, or you think you could have a good program with?
One of my people that I kind of like to work out was Orton, because I wrestled Orton Senior, Orton Junior, and I'd like to wrestle the Orton that's in it now.
Yeah.
I wrestled with Orton Senior in Florida, and then Bob Orton Jr. and then Bob Orton Jr.'s son. That would be fun to be able to say the wrestled all three of the generations.
Well, yeah, and of course, you have a lifetime of great stories. You mentioned the book is out, From All-American Boy to Professional Wrestling's World Champ, and that's on your website. What was that again?
Oh, it's BacklandEnergy.com if anybody's interested in purchasing the book. And they purchase it. They can do it through PayPal.
Okay.
And and I get the addresses and I mail it to the people myself. And if they want me to, I sign the book. And then I usually email them and tell them that you should be receiving the book soon. And the story in the book I really enjoy a lot, and it's very interesting, and I'm excited to be able to send the book and find out how they feel about it.
Yeah, it's great that you've finally been able to finish the book after starting it all those years ago, and you're one of the guys that I think really has an interesting story. It's great that you've finally been able to tell it.
Yeah. Well, I learned something like in 8th grade about peer pressure. Just an example of one thing's in the book. And after that happened to me, I never succumbed to peer pressure again in my life, and it probably actually saved my life because you're kind of in the business. They kind of like you to do that kind of stuff. The guys that have been there for a while like to try to get the younger guys to do it with them, and I refused, and they hated me for that. But I knew better than to think that they were really my friends. They just wanted me to bend my rules, and I figured I'll make them come up to my level rather than go down to theirs.
Well, you see a lot of the wrestlers dying pretty young, so obviously you knew what you were talking about. Yeah, well,
in the book, there's wrestlers admitting that they should have followed my example. But it was kind of very interesting to find out what all the things that were going on behind the scenes during my wrestling career. I didn't know anything until we started interviewing the people, and and they knew everything that was going on behind the scenes, and that was great to know about. I would have never known if I wouldn't have come up with the book.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to reading it. And again, Bob, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Thanks a lot. It was really excellent having you on the line. It's I don't know. It's almost like you are kind of an American hero to us and to wrestling fans. So we really appreciate your time,
guys. Thank you very much for the interview and everything. That was fun, and hope everything goes well. And I hope I can get back to Minnesota and do some signings.
Yeah, hopefully we can meet you someday. And it's been an honor talking with you today. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Yep. Thanks again. Yeah, and if I get a plan to go out there, I'll give you guys a call.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye. Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.